It always started the night before. You'd be lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind pick up outside. In 1975, we didn't have Doppler radar on our phones. We didn't have 24-hour weather apps giving us minute-by-minute updates. We had something much more powerful. Hope. You'd heard the rumors at school. "My dad says we're getting a foot. The bus driver said he's not coming tomorrow." But you couldn't be sure. So we turned to the old magic. The superstitions of a 70s childhood. Who remembers the rituals? First, the pajamas. You had to wear them inside out and backwards. It was uncomfortable, the tag scratching your neck all night, but you did it. Then, the spoon under the pillow. Cold, hard metal right under your ear. And finally, the ice cube in the toilet. Flushing winter down to summon winter up. We were little pagan priests of the snow, bargaining with the universe for just one thing: a day of freedom. Waking up on a snow day had a specific sound, or rather, a lack of sound. The buses weren't groaning down the street. No car doors slamming. Just a heavy, muffled silence. You knew before you even looked out the window. The world had stopped. You ran downstairs in your backwards pajamas. The house was freezing. Dad always turned the thermostat down to 62 at night to save oil money. You huddled in front of the TV. Channel 4, Channel 7, it didn't matter. You were looking for the scroll. Today, kids get a text message. We had to sit through the alphabet. Abington, closed. Avon, closed. Barkhamsted, closed. You stared at that ticker at the bottom of the screen with an intensity you never gave your homework. And the anxiety. If you missed your school's letter, if you looked away for 1 second to grab a Pop-Tart, you had to wait. You had to wait for the entire list to loop back around. Another 10 minutes of agonizing suspense while the local news anchor talked about traffic tie-ups on the I-95. And then, the Holy Grail. Your town. Closed. Not delayed. Closed. Once the victory was confirmed, the preparation began. Going outside in the 70s wasn't like today. We didn't have lightweight, high-tech, moisture-wicking polymers. We had wool, we had polyester, and we had weight. The first layer was the thermals. That waffle-knit long underwear that always seemed to shrink in the dryer. So the legs ended at your shins and the sleeves at your elbows. It was itchy the moment you put it on. Then the socks. Thick grey wool socks that smelled like a wet sheep even before they got wet. And now, we arrive at the most legendary piece of 70s technology. The bread bags. I need to know in the comments, was this just my mum or was this universal? You'd take 2 empty Wonder Bread or Sunbeam bags. You'd slide them over your socks. Then you'd jam your foot into your boot. The theory was sound. Keep the water out. The reality? You just created a personal greenhouse for your feet. Within 10 minutes, your feet were sweating so much inside the plastic that your socks were soaked anyway. But we did it. Every single storm. Finally, the snowsuit. often a one-piece jumpsuit that made you look like the Michelin Man. It was stiff. It was loud. Swish, swish, swish. And the moon boots. Those giant, puffy nylon boots that had absolutely zero traction. You didn't walk in moon boots. You floated vaguely in a direction. You waddled out the door and met the crew. The neighborhood hill was the town square. And on that hill, your sled determined your status. At the top of the hierarchy, the flexible flyer, the Cadillac, steel runners, wood slats. You could steer it. You could wax the runners with a candle stub to break the sound barrier. It was fast and, frankly, dangerous. At the bottom, the plastic saucer, a round disc of death. No steering, no brakes. You just spun in circles until you hit a tree or a snowbank. But it wasn't just sledding, it was King of the Mountain. The snowplows would push these massive mountains of grey, icy snow onto the cul-de-sacs. We spent hours fighting for control of that pile. Shoving your best friend down a 10-foot icy slope wasn't bullying in 1976. It was just Tuesday. And the taste. We ate so much snow. We didn't worry about acid rain or pollution. If you were thirsty, you just grabbed a handful of clean snow. Maybe you made snow cream with milk, sugar, and vanilla. And yes, we all knew the rule about the yellow snow. Frank Zappa warned us, and we listened. If you grew up in this era, your memories are anchored by the big ones. The storms that weren't just snow days, but historic events. First, the blizzard of '77. If you lived near Buffalo, this is etched in your DNA. It wasn't just falling snow. It was the wind. It blew 70 miles per hour, picking up the frozen snow from Lake Erie and blasting it into the city. Drifts were 30 feet high. People were digging tunnels out of their second-story windows just to get air. Then, the giant, the blizzard of '78. This hit the Midwest and the Northeast. This was the storm that buried cars on the highway. In Massachusetts and Rhode Island, people were trapped in their vehicles for days. In the Midwest, the National Guard had to be called in just to dig people out of their homes. For a kid, this was thrilling. The world had stopped. The adults were scared, but we were fascinated. Walking down the middle of a major highway because there were no cars, it felt like the apocalypse. But the fun kind. Eventually, the cold won. You couldn't feel your fingers. Your nose was running. You had to go inside. This is a part of the snow day we often forget. The boredom. We didn't have iPads. We didn't have Netflix. Once you came inside and thawed out, you were at the mercy of daytime TV. Because it was a weekday, you saw things you never usually saw. At 11 a.m., The Price is Right. Bob Barker holding that skinny microphone. The thrill of Plinko. Then, the dark times. The soap operas. Around 1 p.m., the cartoons stopped. The game shows stopped. And suddenly, your mum was watching General Hospital, All My Children, or The Young and the Restless. For a 9-year-old boy, this was torture. Slow talking, dramatic organ music, people staring at each other. You'd beg to go back outside, but your snowsuit was still wet. So you turned to the board games. Operation, trying to remove the funny bone without buzzing. Battleship, or a game of Monopoly that started at 2 p.m. and ended at 5 p.m. with someone flipping the board over in rage. As evening fell, the ritual shifted to the parents. Specifically, the dads. The sound of a 1970s snow day evening is the sound of metal shovels scraping against asphalt. And the cursing. Oh, the cursing. Your dad would spend 2 hours shoveling the driveway. He'd finally finish, leaning on his shovel, sweating, looking at his work with pride. And then you heard it. The rumble. The town plow coming down the street. You watched from the window as the plow driver, with surgical precision, pushed a wall of heavy, icy slush right back into the end of the driveway your dad just cleared. The defeat on his face. The throwing of the shovel. It was a tragedy in 3 acts. The day ended with tomato soup, grilled cheese, and wet hair. You fell asleep exhausted, your cheeks still burning from the windburn. We live in a different world now. Remote learning means the snow day is an endangered species. Kids just open a laptop. They don't know the anxiety of the scroll. They don't know the triumph of the school closing. But we do. We remember the bread bags. We remember the silence. And we remember the magic. I want to hear your story. Were you in the blizzard of '78? What was your go-to snow gear? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want to keep these memories alive, subscribe to the Nostalgia Nest. Stay warm, everyone.